For decades, HIV was seen as a death sentence. Today, something completely unexpected has happened. With modern medicine, many people living with HIV now have life expectancies that are close to, and sometimes even match, the general population. But at the same time, millions of people without HIV are dying much earlier than they should. Not from some rare, exotic disease. Not from a terrifying infection. But from common, preventable conditions that most of us barely take seriously. In this video, we're going to break down why HIV is no longer the threat it once was, what's actually killing people faster today, and the silent health risks that many supposedly healthy people ignore until it's far too late. This isn't about creating fear. It's about raising awareness. Back in the 1980s and early 90s, an HIV diagnosis was a terminal one. The infection almost always progressed to AIDS and then to death. But that all changed with the invention of antiretroviral therapy, or ART. So what does ART actually do? It suppresses the virus, stopping it from replicating. This preserves the immune system, prevents the progression to AIDS, and reduces inflammation and the risk of other infections. When a person takes their medication consistently, their viral load can become undetectable. This not only dramatically reduces the risk of transmission, but also adds decades to their life expectancy. Large studies now show that a person diagnosed early and treated properly can live well into their 70s or even longer. HIV has been transformed into a chronic, manageable condition, much like diabetes or hypertension. It requires discipline, but it's no longer a death sentence. And this leads us to a critical shift in what causes death, a point most people completely miss. People with HIV are no longer dying primarily from HIV itself. Today, they are dying from heart disease, stroke, diabetes, kidney disease, liver disease, and certain types of cancer. These are the exact same diseases killing the general population. So what's the difference? Many people living with HIV are closely monitored by doctors. They get consistent checkups, their health markers are tracked, and they are much more likely to follow their treatment plans. Meanwhile, a huge number of healthy people skip their annual checkups, ignore early symptoms, and live with uncontrolled risk factors for years. Let's talk about the first silent killer, cardiovascular disease. Heart disease is still the leading cause of death worldwide, and it doesn't just strike out of nowhere. It builds up silently over many years. The key risk factors are things like high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high LDL cholesterol, and chronic inflammation, often made worse by a sedentary lifestyle. So many people feel perfectly fine, right up until the moment they have a heart attack or a stroke. In sharp contrast, people with HIV often have their blood pressure checked regularly. Their cholesterol and glucose are monitored. They get flagged for cardiovascular risk early on. Ignoring your heart health is one of the fastest ways for a healthy person to die early. Next is silent killer number 2, type 2 diabetes and insulin resistance. Just like heart disease, type 2 diabetes rarely appears suddenly. It starts with insulin resistance, leading to blood sugar spikes, feeling tired after meals, and gaining fat around your midsection. Many people live for 10 or 15 years completely undiagnosed. During that time, the high blood sugar is quietly damaging blood vessels, nerves, and kidneys, while doubling the risk of heart disease. Ironically, people with HIV are often screened for these metabolic issues because of their medication monitoring, while others only find out they have diabetes after serious complications have already developed. Let's move on to silent killer number 3, chronic stress. Chronic stress isn't just a feeling, it's a physiological state. It messes with your cortisol levels, your immune function, your blood pressure, and your blood sugar regulation. Long-term, chronic stress is directly linked to heart disease, depression, autoimmune conditions, and even faster biological aging. But unlike a virus like HIV, which is actively treated, we often normalize stress. We ignore it, or worse, we glorify it as a sign of being busy and successful. All the while, our body is quietly paying the price. This ties directly into silent killer number 4, chronic inflammation. This isn't the kind of inflammation you see with a cut or a sprain. This is a low-grade, systemic inflammation that quietly fuels almost every major disease of aging. It drives atherosclerosis, cancer progression, neurodegeneration, and metabolic disease. And what causes it? A poor diet full of sugar and ultra-processed foods, not getting enough sleep, and not moving your body enough. People feel normal, while this inflammation slowly damages their tissues day by day. This is why major diseases seem to appear suddenly, when in reality, they've been developing under the surface for years. And finally, silent killer number 5, liver and kidney disease. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is now shockingly common. Even in people who don't drink alcohol, aren't visibly overweight, and appear healthy on the outside. It's driven by excess sugar, refined carbohydrates, and insulin resistance. Kidney disease follows a similar silent path, often going completely unnoticed until the very late stages when the damage is severe. Routine monitoring through simple blood tests can save lives. Ignoring those tests doesn't make the problem go away. This brings us to one of the most dangerous beliefs in modern health. I feel fine, so I must be healthy. So many deadly conditions cause no pain in their early stages. They progress silently and only show symptoms when they're already advanced. The reason people with HIV are surviving and thriving today is because their disease is measured, not guessed at. Their treatment is proactive, not reactive. Meanwhile, far too many people without a diagnosed condition are relying entirely on how they feel, not on what their actual biology is showing. There's another uncomfortable truth here. People living with HIV often have better medication adherence than the general population dealing with other chronic conditions. They take their treatment seriously because they understand the long-term consequences. They stay engaged with the healthcare system. In contrast, think about how many people are prescribed medication for high blood pressure or cholesterol and just stop taking it. How many people abandon lifestyle changes after a few weeks? How many delay going to the doctor until a crisis hits? Your health outcomes follow your behavior, not a label. Now, I want to be perfectly clear. This message is not about minimizing the seriousness of HIV. It's not about romanticizing what it's like to live with a chronic illness. Living with HIV still requires lifelong treatment, access to medication, and consistent care. But the incredible success in managing it proves something fundamentally important. Early detection plus consistent management saves lives. And that exact same principle applies to your blood pressure, your blood sugar, your cholesterol, your weight, and your stress levels. So what actually extends your life today? The biggest predictors of longevity are not just genetics or luck. They are regular health screenings, controlling your blood pressure, managing your blood sugar, getting enough physical activity, sleeping well, and regulating your stress. It's about taking proactive control, not just feeling fine. Let's wrap this up. HIV didn't become less dangerous by chance. It became manageable because science advanced, people paid attention, and treatment was consistent. The real tragedy today isn't HIV. It's how many people are dying young from preventable, ignored, everyday conditions. The most dangerous diseases are not always the most dramatic ones. They're silent, they're familiar, and they're often ignored until it's too late. Awareness doesn't cause fear, it creates time. And time saves lives. Thanks for watching. And if this was helpful, please consider subscribing for more content to help you live a longer, healthier life.